Ephesians 2 is such a powerful chapter, and it is split into two key themes. From verses 1 to 10, we see life apart from Christ versus life through God's saving grace. And the second part is verses 11 to 22, and we see division before the cross versus unity because of the cross. The two main verses in this chapter are, first of all, Ephesians 2, 4-5, but God, being rich in mercy because of the great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved. The words, but God, that changes everything. In verses 1 to 3, we see life as a slave, walking in the ways of the world, being dead in the trespasses, and everyone has lived there at one point. And then the words, but God, are so powerful, and it fights the previous picture of being a slave and shows the beauty now of God's saving grace that we are all invited into because we're God's children. And one particular word that was so meaningful that I would like to just highlight one more time is the definition of mercy. And mercy is surrounded by God's love. Now, the word mercy in the Greek is elios, and it's God's perception of how he helps us when we're in this state of being dead in our trespasses, following the ways of the world. With mercy, it's kindness or goodwill towards the miserable and the afflicted. And not just kindness and goodwill towards us in that state, but it's joined with this desire to help. And that is what salvation is based upon. And then we see in the next section, one in Christ, we see unity, that God's desire is for unity. There has been a whole long history of division between Jews and Gentiles, and it's based on this perception of circumcision, which was first introduced to Abraham, and that was an old covenant. Now it's replaced by a new and better covenant with Jesus dying on the cross. And now the second verse that's very powerful that I would like to highlight is Ephesians 2:13. But now in Christ Jesus, you who were once far off have been brought near by the blood. And again, we have that wording, but now in Christ, that Jesus has died on the cross. And again, but now in Christ, it's this shift. It's forever a shift. Whenever we look up to God, and it shifts our attention off of our humanness, off of ourselves, and we shift our gaze up to God, that's where the big changes happen. That's where power is. And we want to stay in that place. So when we're in situations where we are feeling overwhelmed, or where the devil might want to tell you you're back in his camp and you're following the ways of the world, you say, but now in Christ, or but God, because it's through him that we can conquer. It's through him that we have victory. It's through him that we have healing. It's through him that we have peace, and he brings unity to us. Bless you. It was a wonderful time together teaching this, and it's blessed me deeply.